Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we're going to do a character guide on Setzer. I'm very excited for Setzer coming back here. I really like him. He's a very cool character. Not to mention he's Final Fantasy VI, right? Final Fantasy VI, best Final Fantasy, who's with me. So anyways, in this video, we're going to go ahead and take a look at his artifacts, his spheres. We'll do a little showcase on them. But first we're going to start with the calls. So we're going to talk about what his calls do. Now Setzer does have a very useful call. It is a little situational, but Setzer, I would say, is one of the few characters where like his like normal call is better than the LD call, and you'll find out why here in just a second. So basically, his first call is called Freeze Joker, and the reason why I think this one's actually better than the LD call is because Freeze Joker puts the freeze debuff on the enemy, and it does a party attack up, which isn't bad either, right? But it's going to give all targets 2 turns of freeze. I talked about this during my Should You Pull. Cater also has this freeze debuff, but basically it makes it so the enemies can't gain Brave, which in turn makes it so you really can't take damage, because if they can't gain Brave through Brave gains or through breaking you, they have no way of dealing HP damage, because the HP all comes from the Brave, right? So that's really, really nice there. So I think the Freeze Joker can be nice in some fights. I do remember back in the day, there were some tough fights where you just brought his call to basically get through some tough thresholds. Like if you couldn't tank through it or you didn't want to bring a tank, you could bring this call just for the freeze debuff. Now, the nice thing with this call is you don't have to have Setzer's LD. So like if you just have Setzer, like you pretty much will get this call for free. You just have to like, crystal level him up, I think to at least 80 or something to get it. So that's not that bad, right? Now Dive Bomb is the LD. Now you would think that this would be a really good call, but it doesn't apply the same buff as his actual Dive Bomb does. So we'll talk about like his really good party buff he gets from this. But this version of the buff doesn't nearly do as much. I mean, it does do like a party attack up, Brave limit up, you get a little overflow, a little HP damage up. Like that stuff is good. But typically with your calls, you want to do things that are like super impactful. You don't just want like a few little stats, right? So other than that, it's going to do a decent little attack, but it's not like the craziest thing. Really, if you're bringing Setzer call, it's for that Freeze Joker. That's my opinion, at least, right? All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at Setzer's artifacts. Now, I do not have his best artifacts here, and the reason why is, when I built his old artifacts, I was always in this mode like, all right, it's either attack max Brave or it's like attack in the C50, and for most characters that's true. But for Setzer, attack is not an important stat at all. Part of Setzer's gimmick is that he basically has rainbow numbers. And when you get rainbow numbers, you don't need attack. Rainbow numbers just deal the maximum Brave damage you can deal, regardless of what your attack is, regardless of what the enemy's defense is. And Setzer actually has some party Brave gain and some Brave gain to himself that scales off of max Brave. So I would actually argue that max Brave is the most important stat for Setzer. So what you want is you want 3 max Brave 330, and then 3 of the all-in boost. So here I don't actually have that combo yet, so I have to re-get him. So during this event, there's a raid right now. I'm gonna guess, I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm gonna guess the co-op shop will have his artifacts in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna farm the all-in boost, which basically raises all of his stats once he's used Freeze Joker twice. And then I'm going to give him Max Brave 330 with that. But Max Brave is the stat you really want with Setzer here. We're going to keep that in mind now going into the spheres, right? So the spheres are going to be a little bit different here. So on the A slot, to me, like, sure, you could give Setzer attack and Brave damage, because there are going to be attacks, there are going to be turns that aren't rainbow numbers, but for the most part, this guy's going to be hitting a lot of rainbow numbers. So I have a lot of these spheres that are just like max Brave spheres. I think Mog is one. I got the Steiner one on here. Actually, I mean, if you want both, you could use Trey. Like, Trey's A sphere is really good because it's attack and max Brave, but that's a really good combo for like a main damage dealer. I don't know that I would use Trey's sphere here. Even though it would be really good on Setzer, he's kind of wasting the attack part of it though because of the rainbow numbers. So I would just go like, because here's the thing, there's so many A spheres that are just max Brave, and on most characters that's not that important. But Setzer, it's like one of the best stats he can use. So I would pick an A slot that is only max Brave. Mog and Steiner are just 2 that come to mind, but I know there's a lot more than that. So I just put Steiner's on. When he deals a crit, raises max Brave by 2% up to 5 times once per turn. So he's going to get that pretty much every time he attacks. He'll do a lot of crits. He'll be fine. So that's what I went with there. Then in the E slot, his E slot is very interesting because a lot of them revolve around like when you debuff. Like, so typically you'd want to do like, oh, you debuff raise party attack or something like that. Or, you know, Yuffie, like, you know, do something and raise your own attack. Well, Setzer, once again, attack for himself isn't that important. So to me, like, the best things to do here, because the other thing is Setzer, part of his kit, he has a buff that makes it so his debuffs get applied with one extra turn on them. And he only has one debuff in his whole kit. So I think on the E slot, try to give him at least one other debuff. I think his own or Fujin are really good because basically if you deal a crit, you do a nice speed down on the enemy. So I have the full Setzer sphere here. So let's go ahead and let's just do a fat speed down on the enemies. Because now this is going to be 7 turns instead of 6 turns. So it's going to be like a really long-lasting debuff there. And I think this is just a great slot for Ferris because you can do Ferris, and now Setzer's going to have more utility. He's going to have a speed down, he's going to have a poison, and he's going to get way more use out of that speed down and poison than he is out of attack because, once again, rainbow numbers are his things. And even in the E slot, I don't even think raising party attack's important because he's going to enable the party to do rainbow numbers. So, yeah, really go with more. I really feel with Setzer, you got to go the more utility route here. Go Max Brave. Give him more debuffs, give him more things that he can do. That's really the way I would play him, and I am. And I'm not playing around with my Setzer. Like, mine's full invest. So you can see I've got blue armor, I've got the full force enhancements, everything. So I'm ready to go. I'm liking this boy. So let's go ahead and hop in. We're going to hop into a fight here. A Shinryu fight. So I'm bringing Charlotta to force. Well, actually, I don't really need to bring Charlotta, do I? Because I don't need to show off a force. We'll leave Charlotta just because she's good. That's fine. We'll leave Charlotta in here. But I want to put Machina in because Setzer can work really well with characters like Machina. Characters that do a lot of brave attacks, which he does in his special HP attack. Like, he's going to get so many rainbow numbers, it's really crazy. So, yeah, let's go ahead and hop in here. And let's jump right into the Setzer show. So, really, Setzer doesn't have, like, a specific rotation for when to use his skills. It's really about, because he has so much utility in what he does, it's about just using the right skill at the right time for what you want. So, with Machina here, I won't play around. We'll just do LD and we'll go right into his burst attack. And we'll just let Machina have, like, big, fat, you know, HP plus attacks right out the gate here. And I think Charlotta, same thing. We'll just go in with her BT effect as well. Just make our characters look really good here, right? So let's go ahead and pop this. I mean, I got the free attack, right? We got Awakening with the free attack. Why not? Actually, well, I can do that, and I could still use his AA too if I want to. So let's go ahead. We'll AA quick. Just get a little bit more buffs from that. And then we'll go ahead and do burst attack. All right. So Setzer is really cool. So the big thing is his Freeze Joker, which is his 15 CP. This is a button that realistically you don't want to spam this. You just want to press it when you need it. It basically is what applies the freeze debuff. So that's more of a situational button that you, like if the enemy's about to hit a big threshold attack, they're about to go into force time. Freeze is a really good thing to have on the enemies when they're about to do nasty things to you, because it really just halts all that damage, which is really good, right? Actually, let's do that, and then let's just do one Light of the Crystal. And then let's go into the BT effect here with Charlotta. Sure, let's do that. All right. So numbers should be looking pretty good here with these BT effects up. All right, and then we're going to get into Setzer. Actually, what I should have done, because I didn't really need, you know, force charging here, I should have just brought Rem. Because then I could, like, steal Setzer turns, right, and get him done faster, but that's okay. We'll kind of show him how he works with the party, right? So the first attack I'm going to show you, and I think a lot of people lead with this, is red card. If, like, you're just in a situation that's, like, normal, you're not dire or in need of anything, you'll notice here his skill use is completely, like, weighed in one direction, right? He only has 3 Freeze Jokers, but he's got 15 red cards. So really, red card is your spam attack. It is single target, but it has a 1-turn delay, and it does a lot of dumps. Like, watch all, like, let's just show this off here. Let's do it. So it's going to break, and then it's going to get a delay, but look at all the dumps he's doing there. He just did 800k. He just pressed that button and did 800k. Like, that's really freaking good with a 1-turn delay, and it did a little bit of splash with it. Very impressed with that. So next, let's go ahead and let's go right into the LD, which is really the meat of his kit. We can do Boost All too, which is just really nice, like, boosting all stats type of AA. It's a good thing to have on, right? But Dive Bomb, this is the LD, and this is really what makes Setzer cool. So what Dive Bomb is going to do, it's going to be a big AoE, big HP attack. It's going to restore a skill use of red card. And then you're going to notice that we got, and so that's the reason like people like to use red card first, is so that you at least use up a skill use, and then before you go into the LD, you'll get that skill use back. Because if red card's at 15 and you use the LD, you're not going to get that skill use back. So you definitely don't want to waste that, right? So now, what that Dive Bomb did is it put a buff called Fixed Dice on himself and on the party. He gets 12 turns of it, and the party gets 6 turns of it. And basically, while the party has this buff, or Setzer, they basically have a percentage chance to do rainbow numbers. As the buff ticks down, your odds go down less and less each time, but you'll still hit like plenty of rainbow numbers. So basically with Dive Bomb, when the party's fixed dice is starting to run out, you might just press that here and there to refresh it. So watch Machina now. We're going to do Furious Blades Burst, and watch the rainbow numbers come pouring out here, hopefully. Yeah, okay, we got a few there. Yep, you can see them popping out. But you can see, yeah, it just... The thing is in modern... we did 1.5 mil, by the way. In modern Shinryu era here, look, even the rainbow numbers on the counters, right? There are so many Brave hits, like they go so fast, it's really hard to see. But there was a bunch of rainbow numbers in there, right? So on all those rainbow numbers, he was hitting Cat Brave damage, which really helps push out his damage. That was a very easy 1.5 mil attack we just did there, right? Now, Charlotta isn't the best to show this off because she actually doesn't do a lot of Brave damage. But what we can do is we can do the LD, and then we can start chucking her staff, and then that's going to give us some actual Brave damage. So Charlotta, you can still use her on the party, right? But she doesn't really make good use of the rainbow numbers, so just keep that in mind. But that's fine. So now that Dive Bomb's on, Setzer's going to be hitting more rainbow numbers than the rest of the party because his buff lasts for longer turns, and because it has higher turn count, it has higher percentage for the rainbow numbers to happen. So just keep that in mind. Now, the really cool thing with Setzer is that his EX charges uber fast. So you can always be spamming skills with him. Like I said, if you're not sure what to press and the EX isn't up, just hit red card. That's really what I do. But let's go ahead and pop the EX here. The EX, it's going to give him a Brave gain, and this is going to scale off of Max Brave. So once again, this is why Max Brave is important. Now, what's really cool about this is it sets the ally's Brave to the highest current Brave in the party. So right now, the highest current Brave is Machina at 194. So we'll kind of watch and see if that happens. And then it extends all of his buffs by 1 turn, and then it gives him a Blackjack buff. And the Blackjack buff is just attack and Max Brave up, Brave regen, critical Brave damage, and party attack up, and party Max Brave up. So he's a good support character, but he's doing good damage. Like, he is doing really good damage. So let's do this. Okay. We'll just pop that off there. Yep. And so what you can see there is Charlotta didn't go up to 194 Brave, but I think it goes up to what her cap was. So you saw she basically capped out on Brave after he did it. So as long as a party member's current Brave is capped, any characters that aren't capped are going to go to cap, is essentially what's happening there. So now we can go ahead and chuck staff. We can see if we can get some rainbow numbers out of Charlotta. Yep, we had some rainbows in there. They went quick, but I saw them. And she just chucked that for like a mil, so that was pretty good damage, right? Machina again. Fixed Dice is at 5 turns, right? And actually, I wonder if it'll actually say the percentage is in here. It does not, but I have the Tomberry troop up. And I think, so basically, if you guys want to know the percentages on Fixed Dice, if you have 7 or more turns, you have a 70% chance to hit rainbow numbers. That's going to be for Setzer only because the party starts at 6 turns. So Setzer, for a good chunk of it, like half of his duration, is going to have a 70% chance. From 4 to 6 turns is the 50% chance, 3 turns is 40%, 2 turns is 30%, and 1 turn is 20%. So there's still chances for that to happen. So Machina right now, he has 5 turns, so he should be sitting at about a 50% chance to hit rainbow numbers. So we'll pop it off, and yeah, you'll see those rainbows just kind of popping up in there. The rainbows, once again, are so good because it doesn't matter what your attack is, doesn't matter what the enemy's defense is. Even if the enemies have Brave damage reduction, it ignores that too. And that's a very powerful mechanic to be able to get around. So Setzer, for the longest time, like when his LD first came out, he was like a cheese tactic because a lot of these bosses had insane defense or Brave gain or Brave damage reduction, and Setzer just kind of bypasses it, right? So let's go ahead and show Freeze Joker. And once again, this is a rare button to press. You only get 3 uses of it, but it puts on a very, very powerful freeze debuff. Now, here's the thing. This is normally a 2-turn debuff, but from his, I think it's from that, let me double check here. Extend zone buffs. I'm trying to remember where it comes from. I think it's from the LD. It's either the LD or the EX, but it makes it so that his debuffs add an extra turn. So you just want to make sure before you do that, you do the LD first. I'm pretty sure it's from the LD. Oh yeah, I think it's from, yeah, it's from his fixed dice. So you want to make sure Setzer has the fixed dice. So not only is fixed dice, because I talk so much about fixed dice doing rainbow numbers, but it does more than that, right? So fixed dice is also a big party attack up. It's an HP damage up. It's an overflow gain, overflow stolen up. And then it has the chance for rainbow numbers. And then, once again, it adds 1 turn to Setzer's debuffs. So what you're getting from that fixed dice is his freeze debuff now is getting 3 turns instead of 2. And then once again, that speed down we put on the sphere, that's getting 7 turns instead of 6. So that's really, really good all coming from that. So make sure, once again, because that freeze is so limited, make sure that his LD buff is up before you tap that, because you want all 3 turns of that freeze. So basically, you're getting 9 turns of freeze with Setzer, which is good. And later on down the road, I believe he gets an FRBT. If he gets a BT phase, then you're getting even more turns of that freeze, right? And I'm pretty sure JP does have them. So I'm really excited for that. So let's chuck staff again. Once again, we saw some rainbow numbers poking out there. In my should you pull video, I was talking about, rainbow numbers are a rare mechanic. And the 2 I mentioned in my video were Setzer and Core. And I was pretty sure there was another character, but I wasn't sure. But somebody mentioned in the comments that Jegrin does. And that makes sense, because Jegrin is a very forgettable character. But yeah, I believe with his last upgrade, he got rainbow numbers as well. And I think JP has a character named Neon that has rainbow numbers. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. So that's basically it. That's Setzer, right? So freeze Joker when you want that freeze debuff on. Red card is kind of your spam, delay 1 turn. Let's do the EX again. The EX is pretty much, you just press it. It's good damage. Does good things. The rainbow numbers just popping off. I'm really liking Setzer. Like, these numbers that I'm seeing in this video, they're very good. Like, he's putting up very nice offensive numbers, and he's going to enable the party. So, I'm definitely going to try some runs with Setzer. I think on my Dare to Defy, expect to see Setzer there. I think I'm going to get him in on that. Not sure what my whole team is going to look like there, but I think Setzer's going to be a part of that. I'm guessing delay is going to be important for that because of Cloud of Darkness, and he has delay, so he's a great character. Notice how he took 0 damage there? That was because of the freeze debuff. The enemy could not gain Brave, but they tried an HP attack anyways, didn't work. So once again, freeze debuff is ridiculously powerful. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Setzer. I think he's fantastic. I mean, this might be a hot take, but I think Setzer might be the prize of the banner over Cloud of Darkness. You can let me know if you agree with that take or not, but I think Setzer's fantastic because he's more of like a slotting character you can put on other team comps, whereas Cloud of Darkness really needs to be like your main DPS, more focused character, but and Cloud of Darkness takes more investment, right? You're looking at a green BT, you're looking at an FR. Dude, Setzer for just an LD only character is very low investment and very good for what you get out of him. So if you've got Setzer, you've got a nice little gem on your hands. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.